The latest episode of Doctor Who was the triumphant return of Stephen Moffat, who took over for Russell T Davies during Matt Smith's run as the Doctor, and it was not great.
You're in for it.
I'm Troy from Marks on TV, and today we're reviewing the episode Boom from Doctor Who. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to quickly run down the plot. There's not much to it, so this won't take long, but here's your obligatory spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
We start off with two soldiers on what looks like an empty battlefield. One has his eyes wrapped up, and the other falls into a pit, stands up, but is actually standing on a landmine, and it compresses him into a tube. This is real.
It's true.
The other soldier removes his eye wraps to find his buddy, and a rolling robot with a grandma's face on it hits him with some wires, says his eye injury will take too long to heal by their standards, and then compresses him into a tube.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
While he's dying, he screams, as one does. The TARDIS is on this battlefield, more on that later. The Doctor opens up the door upon hearing the screaming and runs after it.
Not a great plan.
Ruby follows and finds out that the Doctor had stepped on a landmine, and if he moves, he's going to be turned into a Time Lord hot dog, or sausage, or whatever.
Ew, David!
Either way, another soldier finds the Doctor, along with the kid of the guy who just got compressed. The Doctor and Ruby have to calm down the little girl after she finds out that her dad is, no longer with us. Then they have to try to convince the female soldier to calm down, quit trying to shoot the Doctor, and listen to what they have to say so that the Doctor can get the hell off the mine. The soldier tells Ruby to shoot her with her blaster on its lowest setting so that the grandma nurse robots detect it and will come over and they can use them to hack into the military system, or something. I don't know.
I'm extremely confused.
But before Ruby can shoot, the male soldier who likes the female soldier shows up and shoots Ruby. She's not doing good after this, as you'd expect.
Why? Why?
They try to save Ruby's life, and the male soldier tries to use the AI of the dead guy to hack into the military system, because that's totally something that makes sense, but the system rebels and kills the male soldier literally seconds after he confesses his love to the female soldier. What timing! The Doctor is still able to appeal to the dead guy's AI, father to father, and convince it to override the computer system so that it doesn't kill Ruby and will deactivate the Doctor's landmine. He's free!
Right.
The Doctor had also asked the female soldier who they were fighting in this war and who was giving them supplies. It turns out that the enemy they were supposedly fighting doesn't even exist. It was all made up in the fog of bombs going off and such, and soldiers were actually just killing each other by accident.
What? What the fuck?
The company supplying the weapons was notorious for doing stuff like this to keep wars going and to keep people dying because it's good for business.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
They don't say for sure, but it seems like the Doctor getting that system hacked will lead to the military ending the war and finally leaving the empty planet, but that's just conjecture because they don't actually come right out and say that. Now, let's get to the good and then the bad. Boy howdy, there are a lot of notes on this one.
Buckle up, buckaroo!
This is a fairly old school style of episode with the setting, and by that I mean that they're mostly in this little pit throughout the whole episode. Yeah, you see a tiny section of the battlefield for a bit. There are 2 to 3 shots of back at the military base, but 98% of this episode is confined to the pit where the Doctor is standing on the landmine.
The hardest part about living in this pit is probably keeping my suit pressed.
I dig that. When you make an entire episode in a small setting and make it work, I enjoy stuff like that. I don't need a new setting every 2 minutes like a Marvel movie to keep me entertained. For a good example of a film like this, go back and watch the original Odd Couple from 1968. About 99% of that movie takes place inside Felix and Oscar's apartment, and it worked. It was still entertaining because of great conversations, great back and forth, and spectacular acting by Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. My second compliment to this episode is that it felt like there were actual emotional stakes. People legitimately died and weren't brought back in any real way. When Doctor Who can do that and make you feel some kind of way about it, that's the sweet spot. Even if you hated the character, at least you felt something. If you're indifferent to the character's death, that's where they failed in their stakes. But this actually felt sad when people died or were injured. Finally, I've got to take my hat off to Ncuti Gatwa. While I think his crying was a bit too much throughout this episode, his emotional acting was really on display. The way he reacted to thinking that he witnessed Ruby Sunday's death was spectacular and emotional. His stern lectures to the soldiers were done well and felt real. His heart-to-heart with Ruby earlier on in the episode was great.
You are brave, and you are wonderful, and I forgive you for being incredibly stupid.
When he's being happy and silly, sometimes it's a bit too weird, even for Doctor Who standards, and over the top, but it doesn't ruin anything. So, good stuff from Mr. Gatwa.
This guy gets it.
Now for the, I guess, fun part. Let's tear this thing down. This'll hurt you a lot more than it hurts me.
Prepare to be by the long dick of the law.
Let's go way back to the beginning of this episode. Why was the TARDIS even there? Now I know that the TARDIS has landed in war zones before. I know it's landed in some pretty wacky, weird areas before, but there's always a reason. The Doctor explains, we got sucked up by something in the time vortex. Or, I accidentally put in wrong coordinates. Or, the TARDIS took us to the wrong location on this planet I wanted to visit. But this is just weird. No explanation, nothing.
Weird.
The TARDIS is just smack dab in the center of an active war zone on a planet that offered nothing other than a cool view of some other planets.
You get nothing!
If that view was the reason, they could have at least told us that, instead of making us think that this was just a means to an end for the plot to happen. The second thing is, why the hell is this Doctor so damn dumb?
Sorry, sir. Doing my best.
Like, sometimes, with getting the AI to corrupt the computer and him spitting out random facts about species and planets and interplanetary companies, he's pretty smart, but this Doctor hears a scream and goes barreling out into, again, an active war zone that he clearly doesn't know anything about.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
How do I know he doesn't know anything about it? Because he doesn't know who the soldiers are, he doesn't know who they're supposedly fighting, he doesn't know what the company is that's supporting the war, and he doesn't even really seem to know what planet he's on. So, the fact that he ran out and stepped on a landmine is because he was incredibly stupid. No doctor before Jodie Whittaker would have ever done something so dumb and irresponsible.
Stop playing stupid.
Maybe he really is stupid, Randy.
Nobody's this stupid.
Stephen Moffat should have known better. There's no excuse for this carelessness and dumbing down of the Doctor. Another issue I had is, where the hell was the sonic screwdriver? He couldn't pull it out of his pocket or have Ruby grab it and just deactivate that mine. It's ex machina weirder, dumber stuff than that. Not saying I like it, but it has. But now, it's not even mentioned?
I have several questions.
My wife and I were literally screaming at the TV the entire episode for him to use it, or hell, even mention it. The entire point of companions are not only to keep the Doctor grounded and humanize him, but also to be the stand-ins for the audience. Ask questions, mention things, and get the Doctor to explain it to us at home.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
Even if the Doctor knew, I can't use the sonic because of X, Y, and Z. Ruby should have brought it up and had the Doctor vocalize that. Hell, he used it to untie ropes in the church on Ruby Road. Now, they're both dumb.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
The final thing about this episode is the messaging. I feel like it could have been great. If you paid attention to my plot rundown, there's a heavy emphasis on blood money, basically, and corporate-funded wars. War is good for business, be it for corporations or governments. That's a good political message. It fits in with messaging you could have gotten from Doctor Who all the way back to the very first Doctor. But that's not where they stopped. All of the soldiers were also priests and priestesses. They were dressed up like priest soldiers in camo and Catholic priest collars, said they were all part of the clergy, and said that they had faith.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Of course, there's some messaging about that, with the typical liberal line of,
all wars start over religion.
which is verifiably false.
False.
But that's besides the point. They also have some ham-fisted critiques of religion when the Doctor asks a female soldier why she never double-checked on whether or not their enemies actually existed, and she said she just had faith. Then, the Doctor goes into some diatribe about how faith is for the weak that don't like to ask questions and see the truth, and blah blah blah.
The magic word that keeps you never having to think for yourself.
This guy.
And then, at the end of the episode, the Doctor said he had faith in things, and that faith is good.
Just because I don't like it, doesn't mean I don't need it.
So, what the fuck, Doctor Who?
I get it.
I don't get it.
Either way, to wrap this up, Boom had an interesting premise, some good acting, and some good, interesting socio-political messaging that has always been common in Doctor Who. But, of course, it's new Who, so they couldn't quite get this rocket to launch. Nothing landed like it should have, they missed the mark on so many things, It muddied the things that they actually did right. What is it about New Who that makes formerly brilliant creators and writers turn into turds in the writing room?
It's just dumb.
Comment with your thoughts on all of this. Did you like this episode? Have you been liking this season? Are you getting near to tuning out altogether? Or do you like it all? What are you looking forward to seeing with Doctor Who? Or are you just hoping it all gets canceled? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to be notified every time we post brand new content. I've been Troy from Marks on TV, and we'll see you next time.